All right, so I'll show the ones that I wrote for William.
These are really good.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my weapon of choice parameter actions here. So I did something cool to build on the things I showed earlier. I should have built this at a bigger ratio. Let me sort of orient you. So what we've got here is just another simple chart. Using parameter actions, I want to show you icon-driven chart selection. All right, so I created in PowerPoint, my other best friend, a couple of quick representative icons for different chart types. So I just created a line chart, an area chart, a bar chart, and a lollipop. So what I wanted to show is leveraging parameter actions to change your chart type. This builds on, this overall tip will build on both what Rashid showed you earlier with changing your chart with a, what'd you call it? Did you call it sort of magic or an illusion? Chris Angel over here called it smoke and mirrors. What I'm doing here is I'm just going to use this in my selection to change the chart type. So I can go from a line chart. I'm also using parameter actions in the background. So if you'll notice when I deselect, it may be hard to see, but all of these are gray and this is highlighted in the same teal as my chart. So I'm just using parameter actions in a Boolean statement to say if true, then turn it a different color. It creates a more familiar web interface if you're used to that. Right, so when you click a button, you expect to get a reaction and some sort of feedback that you've selected it. So I'm changing to an area chart, a bar chart, a lollipop. So that's all well and good. And then I went back to the well on the tip I showed you earlier, and I'm just seeding the metric selection with a list of potential measures. So going back to the well a little bit here, but wanted to show an example of how to build a little more sleek interface in Tableau for your users. And this doesn't have to sit at the top, right? You could easily detach this and build something nice and slick. Let me flip my axis here and just kind of like lop it in here in the top corner like you might see on an application, right? Doesn't have to be big, but look at that, that's really powerful, right? This is a slick little interface. So that's this tip. Again, this is driven by parameter actions. Let me just open up the covers for you on that one a little bit. Actions. So I'm changing the chart type. So what I did is I created just a secondary data source. It only has 4 records. It has bar, line, area, and lollipop, right? And it's just seeding a parameter with those values. There are 4 sheets buried in a container here, 1 for each chart type. Each of them has a Boolean statement where if line, then the line chart's valid, everything else is dead. If bar, then the bar chart's valid, everything else is hidden. I shouldn't say dead, that's not nice. But yeah, so it's just a series of 2 parameter actions. So I'm updating the chart type with my selection here, and I'm updating the measure with my selection here. So just a combination tip there.
And your icons are just images?
Yeah, so they're just images that I created in PowerPoint. So this one was actually the most tedious to create. I couldn't decide what shapes would start to stack up and make a contiguous area chart. So there's a combination of squares, triangles, and whatnot. It's really sloppy. I wasn't proud of that. The other ones were a little easier. Yeah, so it's just a nice little interface if you want to give your users the ability to select a chart and take up very little real estate with it.
Well, I noticed
some familiar navigation.
The images dynamically change size when you change the size of the container. Is that? I haven't tried that.
It's a shape. So what I did is I created them as PNGs, so transparent PNGs, and then I placed them in my shapes folder. Is everybody familiar with creating your own custom icons? So I create one-off icons for client work, for playground stuff like this. So I just have a miscellaneous folder that has a couple people's faces for some fun projects, various icons that make no sense being in the same folder together, but I just use a miscellaneous folder for one-offs like this. So that gives you the ability to drop chart type on shape and then select. So, questions about that tip? Yeah.
more on the custom shapes. So
Yes.
if you do create the custom shapes and you publish your dashboard to Tableau server or Tableau online, will the shapes go in it?
They're published with the workbook, yeah. So when you package up that workbook, it publishes as a Twibix, as William says. He's the only person I've ever heard say Twibix,
Oh, I see.
TWBX. There's two people. You have a soulmate. Yeah, so it publishes up with the workbook. So now where you do run into problems with custom shapes is if someone else who does not have those shapes in their repository downloads your work and starts tinkering with it, sometimes they can run into issues. But just tell people don't mess with your work. Just be real protective about it like I am. Yeah, so any other questions on
But
that, Tim?
if it's a packaged workbook, wouldn't the shapes go along with the package?
They do, but if that person tries to reset shapes or starts playing with it, it becomes more difficult for them to get back to those shapes because they don't exist in their shapes repository.
Right, okay.
So it's possible. Generally, Tableau protects you against that issue, but you can run into exceptions.
Gotcha, thanks.
Cool. Rashid, all yours.